Hi. Thank you, Lisa Augustine, for inviting me to your wonderful class, The Fundamentals. My name is Jo DiGiandomenico, and I am from the city of Lorraine. I come from a family of 6 kids, 4 brothers and 1 sister, so yeah, I know what it's like to come from a big family. Lisa was gracious enough to invite all of us to come in and talk to you. If you have any questions, I'm only here for 15 minutes. I have some of you in class. I've had some of you before in class, so you know the spiel. But the first thing that Lisa wanted, well, one of the things that Lisa wanted us to talk to you about is the classes that I teach. I teach Women's Health Online. And if in the future you are interested in pursuing this is new, the Wellness Certificate. This is one of the Women's Health class online is one of the classes that you can take towards that certificate. Many of you know that wellness, especially in the work site, in school systems, is becoming very popular. And what we want our students to do or to have as many tools in your doctor's box when you graduate as possible. In other words, how many skills can you offer that future employer? You could go for that interview and you can say, I have a certificate in wellness. I have a certificate in group exercise. I have a certificate in personal training. I have a 2-year degree. I have a 4-year degree. And so what we're trying to do is to help you be as marketable as possible because it is extremely competitive out there. As all of you know, there are people out there now, personal training, without the 2-year degree, even without the 1-year technical certificate in personal training. And so it's extremely competitive, and we want you to be as skilled as possible in the least amount of time as possible. So this is fairly new. This was approved by Curriculum Council last year. And again, that is one of the classes that I teach. It's an option in that program. Another class that I teach is Nutrition and Weight Management. It is a 2-credit health class. It's HLED 181. Some of you are currently in that class with me this semester. We usually offer that class on a Monday, Wednesday, and or a Tuesday, Thursday. The rationale behind that class is that, as you all know, in the discipline of health and fitness, you're always going to get either athletes or your clients. They're always going to ask you questions about nutrition. So the way that I structure that class is that we set you up so that you have the skills to sit down with somebody and talk to them about nutrition education. You can't claim to be a nutritionist. You can't claim to be an RD. You can't claim to be an LD. I mean, that's a separate 4-year degree program. But what you can do after you complete that 15-week course is that it does prepare you to take the Nutrition Guidance Certificate online through the Cooper Institute. You would have to pay the Cooper Institute to take that test online, but that class prepares you to do that certificate. We don't currently have that certificate here on campus, but again, it's something that you could do on your own after you complete that 15-week class with myself and or another individual who teaches that class. The textbook that we use is called Nutrition Now, and it's a textbook that's written down at the Cooper Institute, which is located in Dallas, Texas. And the way that I structure the class is that every time I teach a lesson, I explain, or prior to that lesson, I say, okay, if you have a new client, your clients or parents can hire, if you're not a coach, or you could probably advertise this as a skill on your business card if you don't have one already, nutrition guidance, right? And you can get small groups of 2 or 3. You can, it's even very helpful if you even include the parents if you're coaching kids. So keep that in mind. It's another skill in your doctor's box, is what I call it. The next course that I teach, and I've had about half of you in that course, and that's biomechanics. Biomechanics is a 3-credit course. It is required for the 2-year degree in sports and fitness management. It's required for the 1-year program in personal training, and it's also required in the group exercise program. What do we do in biomechanics? Well, we attempt to teach you. I know, he's in my class this semester. He's like, wow, this is awesome, right? Yeah. In that class, we talk about the skeletal system, which we have the skeletal, my skeletal boyfriend in the next room. We talk about the skeletal system. We talk about joint motions and planes. We talk about how to create an exercise program. You know, it's something like you. How would you describe that class? If you can recall from last semester.
Got me organized about
your workouts? Well, he has to think about it. Yeah.
Designing programs.
Okay.
And it helped me learn to express like what I want the client to do.
Okay. In your sessions that you have.
Yeah.
One of the things that we need to be aware of is that we may ourselves, that he's correct, okay? Yeah, good job explaining that class. What we're trying to do with that class is to get you to be able to recognize when you're doing an exercise either correctly or incorrectly as far as the biomechanical terminology, and or we're also trying to help you understand how to teach somebody how to do an exercise biomechanically correct. And I think that's what you're referring to. In addition to that, we teach you how to create exercise programs for the core, for the lower body, and the upper body. And when you go in for an interview, there's a dozen of you, all right? And that's one of the skills that you want to say that you can do for them. I can create programs for your employers or your clients, whatever facility that you're going for, you know, for the interview. I can create a program for the core. I can create a program for the lower body. I can create a program for the upper body. I can teach exercises biomechanically correct. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. You have to sell yourself, and this stuff rolls off your tongue. Because, again, it's so competitive out there. Again, you want to have the edge. You could be the lead trainer because of that one-year technical certificate that you're going to get or earn, or the 2-year degree. So it's a matter of knowing. And what we try to do in our program, and I'm sure Lisa does, Mrs. Augustine does the same, is we're like, again, we're trying to let you know, like, this is a skill. This is a skill that you need out in the real world. This is a skill that a future employer needs from you. All right. Any questions with that? Okay. So those are the courses. I team teach a course with Doug Herndon, kinesiology, which is the study. We go into a lot more depth. The biomechanics is what I consider to be a prerequisite to the kinesiology class, because there's higher expectations when it comes to the skeletal systems, higher expectations when it comes to origins and insertions of muscles. We talk a little bit about the nervous system. And then what we do in that class, different than what we do in biomechanics, the kines class, is that you take a sports skill and you work with a small group of people, and we go from the preparatory phase to the follow-through phase, and you look at that person. We have a DVD that we give the students, and you're going to analyze all the different joint motions that person's performing during that skill. So that's another skill that you can promote when you go for an interview. Questions? No? Okay. I think, some advice that I would like to give you is I think that you can hopefully tell that I'm very excited, obviously, about what I do. Yes, sir.
So nutrition and the training part of it is two different things. Like, you got to know your nutrition. Is like someone's trying to go on a diet or someone's trying to lose weight.
Well, I mean, if any of you currently train or if any of you coach, people are always asking you questions about nutrition. Is that correct? And so it's a skill, a knowledge skill. We want you to have the knowledge in nutrition to be able to have an educated conversation with a client and or a coach, another coach, and or athletes, because they're going to ask you questions. You have to be very careful about the advice that you give them. And we stress in our classes, don't promote something that you're not. You're not an RD. You're not we already went over that. But you can give nutritional advice. And it's all based on either the dietary guidelines, Choose My Plate, all those government recommendation nutrition sites. Did I answer your question? And what I was saying earlier is that when you finish that 15-week course, you can take the online nutrition guidance certification through the Cooper Institute and add those credentials to your resume. Did I answer your question? Okay. So thanks for asking. All right, let me go back and let me just give you a quick history of my, and again, I know that some of you have heard this, but some of you are new and haven't heard it yet. So this is my women's health class, and because I don't see them, did you have a question?
Do you ever get overwhelmed?
Overwhelmed?
Courses that you teach?
That's a good, that's a good, you know what, okay, so Lisa said to give advice, and that can go short, long, medium. Well, sure, I'm just as human as the next guy, absolutely. And, you know, I mean, you talk about being overwhelmed. You know, Lisa's working full time. She's working on her doctorate degree. She's got 2 kids and a husband. So you get all those things you're trying to balance. Can it be overwhelming? Sure. And what do I try to do? I try to take one thing at a time, okay? And I walked into biomechanics, da-da-da-da, taught that class, stepped out, put my nutrition hat on. Take a deep breath, walk in, here we go. Okay? Take the nutrition hat off, put the lunch hat on. Eat lunch, got done with that, and then I changed. Like, you know, I went into the Superman booth, and I changed, and I worked out. And then I took a shower, okay. And then I'm here, okay. And I'm happy to be here. So you know what? It's just one occasion at a time. Yes, it can be overwhelming. Okay, yeah. So moving on, going back. So I am, just to give you an academic career, I'm a graduate of Lorain County Community College. I am very proud to say that. I received an excellent education here. Like I said, I come from a family of 6 kids. The parents said, LC's, where are you going? I said, great. You know, no other options at that time. 1977, I'm driving an LC. That's how old I am. Oh, I mean how young I am. Okay. All right. 62 Ford Falcon. That was, oh God, I love that car. It was just my first car. You know, it had the big steering wheel. It had the choke that I get to pull out in the morning. Here I come, LC. Okay? I paid $450 for that car. Can you believe that? Back in the 70s. That car was like, what, 15 years old? Yeah, I was so proud of that car. It had 66,000 miles on it. So don't complain to your parents if you're driving a car that's 15 years old. I mean, it worked for me. All right? Then I was in a head-on collision. I'm still here. I was in a head-on collision. 1978, February 14th. It was a bit, if you have parents that are in their 50s, they may remember this, the snowstorms that we used to have in the late 70s. So I'm driving, not even a mile from my house, okay, and this van went left to center, hit me head-on. That's probably why I'm so weird and crazy, huh? Okay. No, I'm just teasing. You have to have a good sense of humor. So, demolished my favorite car. I would still love to have a 62 Ford Falcon today, just because of the positive memories I had buying my first car. And this will really take you back in time. It had the speakers in the back and the FM converter. I don't have that now. You probably don't even know what those are. But anyhow, so that's where I started my college career, here. And then I left here. I played sports here, field hockey and basketball, believe it or not. Okay. Then I went to Slippery Rock, which is located in Pennsylvania. Anybody know where Slippery Rock is? Slippery Pebble. For those of you that are Steeler fans, it's 50 miles north of Pittsburgh, Slippery Rock. It is now a university. When I was there, it was a state college. Back then, you could receive your teaching degree, K through 12, health and PE, so that's what I got. And then I focused in on lifetime fitness, which is, you know, kind of like what you're pursuing here, is that lifetime fitness, some of you. And then from there, I worked at a YMCA, which a lot of people do when they start out their career. I worked for a home gym. I don't know if you've ever heard of Miller's Gym back in the day. It was all free weights. It was a great place. It was at an old Lawson store. Worked there for a while, so I worked that family business. I worked at NASA Lewis Research Center, so I had that government experience. I was their fitness director at the time. I left there, and I went to B.F. Goodrich. And I, you know, like when you have to create a proposal for a class, thank you. When you have to create a proposal for a class, like a business plan, I use that and I set up a fitness program for BF Goodrich and Avon Lake. So it does come in handy. If you do go to Akron, there's a class called O&A, and that's exactly what you have to do for that class. So I used it in my background. So I graduated from Slippery Rock. I went to Cleveland State for my first master's degree in education, specialized in exercise phys, what they called it human performance back then. And then I wanted to pursue my PhD. I started working here in 1991. So I've been here for 22 years, and I wanted to always pursue my PhD. So I went to Kent, and I was going to initially pursue exercise phys, but they wouldn't let people do it part-time. So my next option was health ed and health promotion. So then they said, because we all have obstacles, and that's why I'm telling you this. They said, no, you can't pursue a PhD in health ed and health promotion unless you get a master's in health education and health promotion. So that's what I did. You have to bite the bullet at some point in time because you have that little carrot out there. So I pursued a second master's in health education and health promotion, and I finished that in December of whatever year it was, I think 1983. I don't remember. 93, I don't remember. I'd have to look. And then I started the PhD right after that. So it took me 3 years to pursue the PhD coursework, and then 3 years to write my dissertation, which is like a book. And that's what Lisa's currently working on. And I did it similar to how Lisa's doing it. No, I mean, like I did it working full time. And I'm not telling you this to brag. I'm telling you this because we come up with excuses. Okay, in life. Life happens. I worked full time. I worked overload. I coached CYO. I adopted 2 girls in the meantime. So, I mean, you just, overwhelming? Yeah. But you just take one day at a time, one chunk at a time. And if you're not, I mean, obviously, Lisa and I are very passionate about this. You could tell, right? So you want to wake up in the morning, you want to go to your job. You know, it's a career. Questions? Yes?
Are you related to Superman?
No. 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 Question?
To get the degrees that you have now, about roughly how long did it take?
Well, let me go back. I'm also a CrossFit Level 1 trainer. I received that back in, I love that stuff. I received that in recently. Went to the seminars, and I went a couple times, February, and then May, I think I went. And then took the test and passed. But how long did it take?
Yeah.
Okay, let's back up. So it took so I was here for 2 years full time, and then I was at Slippery Rock for 2.5 years, because I went to get an extra concentration in lifetime fitness. So that's 4.5 years. My first master's at Cleveland State took me a year, because I didn't do the thesis at that time. A thesis is writing like a mini book. It's kind of like the little sister version of a dissertation. And then my second master's, that was at Kent State. That took me about a year and a half. Okay? So 4.5, another year is 5.5, so 7. Okay, now the PhD, pile high and deeper, the rewrites. You can relate to that. That's what I call it, just to make fun. I shouldn't do that, but 3 years for the coursework, for the PhD, part-time. And then 3 years to write my dissertation. So part-time, the PhD took me 6 years, while I was working and all that other good stuff, life. So, you know what? Set your goals high and go for it. Just go for it. Yeah, imagine that. But you know what, though? Education, I mean, like, so I have this PhD now. Nobody can take it away from me. You know? That's the way I look at it. Nobody can take it away from me. I earned it, just like you're earning your whatever you're going for. And you know what? And I was 51 when I finished my PhD. And there's all kinds of people out there that are going to, especially, probably more so women than men. I mean, nothing against the men by no means, but when you're a mom and you have kids, or like, you know, you're a dad and you have kids, I mean, people, they say things to you that really work with your mind. Like, what are you doing that for? What are you leaving your kids for? I mean, I can't tell. I mean, Lisa knows how many times I would cry on the way home from Kent because I felt so guilty because somebody said, what are you doing? I'm thinking, well, I'm trying to make a better life for my family. Just because I'm a female doesn't mean I can't do that, right? Right, so be strong, because there's always going to be somebody out there. Or if you're a guy and you have kids, and, you know, because, you know, it takes discipline and skill power. skill power, right?
Right.
Okay.
To remind them that you're also the advisor.
Yeah, I should have said that to begin with. So, okay, so when Lisa took on the position as our dean, I became the coordinator for the 2-year degree program. So we really want you to come see me so I can help you create an academic plan. I've done it for some of you already. And then you're going to write down the classes that you need to take next semester and the year after and the year after. Please look at, and Lisa's going to go over all this, but please, please, please look at this. It's our 2-year, if you're pursuing this, okay? So that you can take these classes in order. And if you haven't done so, you know, if you're missing out on some of these classes fall semester, let it go and just work on it next semester. So come see me. You have my number. Call me.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Give her a round of applause.
Yay!